Rachel Bennett was tired. The kind of tired that settles into your bones when you've been running on 3 hours of sleep for the past 2 years. At 28, she was doing her best to raise her daughter Lily alone, working double shifts at the diner while studying for her nursing certification at night. Her blonde hair was always pulled back in a practical ponytail. Her clothes were simple, clean, chosen for durability rather than style. But her eyes, those still held hope, still believed that hard work and kindness would eventually lead somewhere better. Lily had just turned 3. Pigtails and endless energy, a smile that could light up the darkest days. She was the reason Rachel kept going, kept pushing, kept believing. It was a Thursday morning at the corner cafe where Rachel had been working for the past year. The breakfast rush was winding down when a man walked in. He looked out of place somehow, well-dressed in a dark suit, but his eyes carried a heaviness that Rachel recognized. She'd seen that look in the mirror on her hardest days. He sat at the counter, ordered black coffee, and stared at his phone with an expression that seemed 1,000 miles away. Rachel went about her work, refilling cups, taking orders, but she kept glancing his way. Something about him seemed deeply troubled. When she brought his check, he reached for his wallet and his face fell. He patted his jacket pockets, checked again, then looked up at her with genuine embarrassment. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I seem to have left my wallet in my other jacket." "This has never happened to me before. I can have someone bring it, or I can come back." The coffee was $3.50. Rachel saw the manager looking over, ready to make a scene. She'd seen people humiliated over less. Without thinking, she pulled $4 from her own tip jar. "Don't worry about it," she said softly, ringing it up. "We all have those days. Coffee's on me." The man looked at her, really looked at her, and something shifted in his expression. "Thank you. You have no idea what this means. May I have your name, Rachel? And honestly, it's just coffee. No big deal." "It's a bigger deal than you know," he said. "I'm Jonathan." He stood to leave, then paused. "The kindness of strangers can remind us why we keep going. Thank you for that reminder today, Rachel." She smiled, thinking nothing more of it, and went back to wiping down tables. Her shift ended at 2. She picked up Lily from her neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who watched her during the day, and headed home to their small rental house on Oakwood Street. That evening, as she helped Lily with a puzzle on the living room floor, Rachel thought about her life. The bills stacked on the kitchen counter, the car that needed new brakes, the dream of becoming a nurse that seemed to slip further away each month. But then Lily laughed at something, and Rachel remembered that some riches couldn't be counted in dollars. The next morning was Friday, Rachel's day off. She was planning to study while Lily played in the backyard. They were having breakfast when she heard it, a sound that didn't belong in their quiet neighborhood, the rhythmic thump of helicopter blades. Rachel stepped outside, shielding her eyes from the morning sun. A helicopter was descending, heading straight for the empty lot at the end of her street. Neighbors were coming out of their houses, pointing, talking. Nothing like this had ever happened in their modest neighborhood. The helicopter landed. The door opened, and Jonathan stepped out. Rachel's heart started pounding. He was walking toward her house, accompanied by a young woman in professional attire carrying a briefcase. Rachel stood frozen on her porch, Lily peeking out from behind her legs. "Hello, Rachel," Jonathan said as he approached. His voice was kind, but there was an intensity in his eyes. "I apologize for the dramatic entrance. I needed to find you, and I wanted to do this in person." "I don't understand," Rachel managed to say. Jonathan's expression softened. "Yesterday was the worst day of my life. I'd just come from a meeting where I learned that my business partner of 15 years had betrayed me, stolen from our company, and disappeared. I discovered my wife had filed for divorce that morning. I was sitting in that cafe trying to decide if everything I'd built was worth fighting for anymore." He paused, his voice thick with emotion. "Then you paid for my coffee. $3.50 from your tip jar. I saw you do it, and I realized something. In a world where people with everything can betray you, here was someone with very little choosing kindness. It reminded me that goodness still exists, that people still matter more than profit. That moment saved me from making a terrible decision." Rachel felt tears welling up. "I just bought you coffee. You did more than that. You gave me hope when I had none." So I did some research. I hope you don't think that's intrusive. But I needed to understand who you are. Single mother, working 2 jobs, studying to be a nurse, drowning in student debt and medical bills from your daughter's birth complications. Rachel's cheeks flushed. Having her struggles laid out so plainly felt exposing. I'm the CEO of Morrison Technologies, Jonathan continued. We develop medical software. And I've spent the last 18 hours thinking about how to pay forward what you gave me. Not just to you, but to people like you. The woman with the briefcase stepped forward. My name is Catherine Wells, Mr. Morrison's attorney. We'd like to discuss some opportunities with you. Rachel invited them inside, her mind spinning. Lily clung to her leg, curious about these strangers. Jonathan knelt down to Lily's level. Hi there. What's your name? Lily, she whispered. That's a beautiful name. Your mom is a very special person, Lily. They sat at Rachel's small kitchen table. Catherine opened her briefcase and pulled out several documents. Mr. Morrison would like to offer you a full scholarship to complete your nursing degree, Catherine began. No strings attached. He's also establishing a fund to cover your current debts, including medical bills and student loans. Rachel couldn't breathe. I can't accept that. It's too much. You can, and I hope you will, Jonathan said. But there's more. I've been thinking about my company's direction. We create technology for hospitals, but we've lost touch with the human side of healthcare. I'd like to establish a new division focused on patient advocacy and healthcare accessibility. I want you to help lead it once you finish your degree, not as charity, but because I believe your perspective, understanding what it's like to struggle. To fight for care for your child is exactly what we need. I'm not qualified, Rachel whispered. You're more qualified than you know. Life has given you an education that no business school can provide. Empathy, resilience, understanding what real people face in our healthcare system. That's invaluable. Rachel looked at Lily. Then at these strangers offering her dreams, she'd stopped letting herself dream. Why are you really doing this? Jonathan's eyes grew distant. My father was a janitor. My mother cleaned houses. They worked themselves to exhaustion to give me opportunities. I built Morrison Technologies from nothing, but somewhere along the way, I forgot what it felt like to struggle. I forgot that money isn't the measure of a person's worth. Yesterday, sitting in that cafe at my lowest point, you reminded me of my parents, of people who give even when they have little, who choose kindness over self-interest. He leaned forward. I'm 62 years old, Rachel. I've made more money than I could spend in 5 lifetimes. But I've realized that success without purpose is just emptiness. You gave me $3.50. Let me invest in you, and through you, in a better healthcare system for people like my parents, like you, like Lily. Rachel felt tears streaming down her face. I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me help. Say you'll finish your degree. Say you'll bring your heart and your experience to help us make healthcare more human. That afternoon, Rachel signed the papers. Her hands shook as she wrote her name, unable to fully believe this was real. Jonathan spent 2 hours talking with her about her dreams for nursing, what she wanted to change in the system, how she envisioned patient care. You see things clearly because you've lived them, he told her. Never lose that perspective. It's your superpower. 6 months later, Rachel walked across the stage to receive her nursing degree. Jonathan and Catherine were in the audience, cheering alongside Mrs. Chen and Lily, who clapped so hard her little hands must have hurt. Rachel started working at Morrison Technologies' new healthcare advocacy division, using her nursing knowledge and personal experience to develop programs that helped patients navigate the complex medical system. She hired other single mothers, other people who'd struggled, believing that those who'd faced hardship had wisdom that couldn't be taught. A year after that helicopter landed on her street, Rachel stood in front of a crowd at a healthcare conference, sharing her story. Not as a victim who got lucky, but as someone who proved that kindness creates ripples we can't predict. $3.50, she said to the audience. That's what it costs to remind someone that goodness exists. I didn't know who Jonathan was. I just saw another human being having a hard day. That's the point. We never know what our small acts of kindness might mean to someone. We never know whose life might change, or how that change might ripple outward. Jonathan was in that audience, too. After she spoke, he came up to her. You changed my life, Rachel. Everything I'm doing now, the direction of my company, the purpose I've found, it started with your kindness." "And you changed mine," she replied. "But I think maybe we both learned that we're not really separate. Your struggle was my struggle. My kindness was your kindness. We're all connected, whether we realize it or not." Lily was 5 now, thriving, full of dreams about becoming a doctor someday. Rachel had a career she loved, a home that felt secure, and a sense that life had rewarded not her specifically, but the simple act of choosing to care about another person. She still thought about that morning sometimes. The helicopter landing, the impossibility of it all. But mostly she thought about the moment before, standing in that cafe, pulling $4 from her tip jar because someone needed help. That was the real miracle. Not what came after, but the choice to be kind when kindness cost her something. Because in the end, that's all any of us can control. Not whether helicopters will land or fortunes will change, but whether we'll see each other's humanity and respond with compassion. Everything else is just details. If this story reminded you that small acts of kindness matter, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that restore your faith in humanity. Leave a comment below about a time a stranger's kindness made a difference in your life. Let's spread more light in this world together.